what I brought today is actually a travel handbook from South America. Reason why I brought this, because I took an 8-month break during my PhD. So together with my girlfriends, we backpacked through the continent, which was an amazing experience. It's a bit torn, as you can see, so it has been heavily used. But I think the opportunity that was provided to me to take that break, it was just amazing. So afterwards I resumed the PhD, finished it. And we got a very good taste of it. And after my PhD, we did a second big travel from 1 year and a half. That's the reason why I brought this this booklet. I wouldn't describe myself as a big goal getter. I'm more a bit of the, when you plant seeds. So I like to plant seeds along the way and see what grows. So instead of setting a target and take the shortest route to get there, and I think that's also how I see my professional life a little bit. So a key element for me is liking what I do. So finding the pleasure in the work that I do day to day. Does that give me energy? How does that fall with the people that I interact with the clients that I interact with? And it's my experience that always new opportunities pop up. And then it's up to you to grasp the opportunities that come on your path. I was a PhD student at the Center of Educational Effectiveness and Evaluation. So what I basically did was quantitative modeling of a couple of elements in the educational psychology sphere. So I examined the effects of the academic self-concept, so how students perceive themselves, how well they are in, for example, math or language, how that would be affecting their performance in class. So really based on large-scale study data. That was one part of my PhD, and the second part of my PhD was really diving into the type of choices that students make. So what are the different interest profiles that drive students towards, for example, a medicine degree versus an economics degree? I think a PhD gives you the opportunity to go really in depth, and I think that's one of the big positive elements of PhD, that you have the time, that you have the space to explore that really in depth. If something doesn't work out, it's also fair. So you really iterate, and that is that freedom is a time that probably will never come back in my professional career again. Well, my decision to go to a postdoc, that was also an interesting one, because I was in Australia. So we were in the last half year of our travels, and my girlfriend and I said, we should start looking for a job. So that's what I did, and I started looking around, and I encountered this position at the Faculty of Engineering Technology. So no longer with the human capital group, but really on science and technology. And they were looking for a sort of project manager for a European project that was aimed at identifying at-risk students. And I thought, whoa, cool. And it's also within that postdoc career that I really learned to work in a multidisciplinary way, because there were similar PhDs going on in the fields of computer science, but really aimed at dashboarding functionalities. And we really try to make the connection between those different disciplines, and for me that was a wonderful experience to say, look, I have those data sets, I see those and those findings. How can we visualize that at scale? I've put a lot of seeds in the ground again, and I got in touch with a former colleague of mine who I did my PhD with, and she worked at Deloitte, so at consulting, and that started to trigger another reflection on how where I wanted to go. I talked with her, and it seems like she had a very good time there, a lot of interesting learning opportunities, and I still remember it. It was a Tuesday at 7 p.m. I was still at the office late that day, and I saw an application passing by requesting for an people analytics job at Deloitte, and I didn't think about it for a minute. I just wrote my motivation letter and I applied. Within half an hour that was done, and I got a call back a couple of weeks later. I did the whole recruitment session, and yeah, the rest is history. I'm a manager at the workforce transformation team. So what I'm typically doing is strategy work for clients, mainly focused around future of work, reskilling, but then the very practical elements like, okay, we have jobs changing, people need to shift from position A to position B. This will require a new skill set. How do we tackle that? So typically it starts with mapping like what is needed, then assessing a gap with the workforce that they have, and then define remediating actions in terms of learning, in terms of recruitment. So sometimes they need to hire other people to do that. So it's more the strategic thinking around that that we guide our clients through. What I like about my current job is that constraints, and that can be money, that can be time, that can be complexity of scope of particular. It forces you to make choices. And I think that's also a very valuable element. Sometimes you don't need to do the deep dive to get a client to the next step. And that's also a lesson that I learned in my professional life as a consultant. In that, the second part of the second research project, where we started to identify tools for engineering students to help them navigate the labor market, we got in touch with private industry. So we had a couple of private industry clients. We did a lot of focus group with engineers in those industries, and that really gave me a feeling, okay, what engineering is about, what is typically requested in the market. And I really got a first introduction there. And then the second element is I was really looking for a way on how I could transition to private industry, like having this academic background. And I think the versatile environment, if I look around me in the world of consulting, the profiles that I have around me, it's crazy. It's going from AI specialists to language specialists to graphical designers, and everybody finds its place there one way or another. And I think especially within the people analytics group, there were quite some people with a PhD, so that also enabled me to connect a bit better with that. I think everybody has his own journey. I stand 200% behind the choices that I make or that I made in the past. I really like the application elements of my postdoc career. So it was more practical. It was less academically, scientifically focused, which was perfectly fine for me. And I think that also helped to bridge the gap towards the labor market, towards more private industries. Because you can say like, look, I've been working on the in-depth work, the scientific research work. I can do that. Take the box. What a lot of companies are also looking at, okay, the research is interesting, but how do we apply that? And I think during my postdoc, I looked at various application methodologies. So, for example, the dashboards I was mentioning, or the tools that we have been developing for students, sort of self-scans. Those are really the elements that clients in private industry and consulting are also looking for. So really the pragmatic solutions, not just a research report. So for me, it was a perfectly logical flow. And a lot of the elements, both for my PhD work and for my postdoc career, could be applied in my current consulting work. I'm still affiliated to KU Leuven. When I started my consulting career, I didn't want to make a hard cut with KU Leuven either. I was still the co-supervisor of a PhD. Being affiliated with KU Leuven, I think for me, I've spent here 8.5 years. I didn't want to make a hard cut with that. What does the future bring? I don't know yet. I'm still planting my seeds. Some of them are popping up. I really like the connections with my team, colleagues at Deloitte, also with interesting clients that I encounter. So I can't say for now. Embrace the choice that you make. It will put your career in a particular direction. that has implications, which I think is that's the normal flow of things with every choice that you make. But also because of that choice, there will be coming things on your pathway that would not have come your way if you chose, for example, another direction.